Okay, so I just tried out this new Snapchat filter where it swaps your gender, and do these shorts make me look fat? Why the absolute am I only being paid 70 cents to a man's dollar? Oh my god, the other day Becky wore the ugliest shoes to volleyball practice. Like, oh my word. So I just found out that someone I don't like is running for a political position, and I think I just remembered he raped me 30 years ago. My boyfriend just broke up with me. This is especially sad because he was rich. Perhaps you found my new experience with Snapchat funny, entertaining, or maybe even a little bit goofy. Well, if you're a liberal, you found it incredibly offensive and rather problematic. First of all, do you guys remember Snapchat? That quirky app where you can send and receive photos, look at people's stories, and follow your friends? Yeah, no, I'm not talking about Instagram, I'm talking about Snapchat. Snapchat is one of those apps that has been on the decline for quite a while now, and up until a few weeks ago, I'm pretty sure the only person who still used it was Hillary Clinton. After all, the messages delete themselves. As Instagram and Snapchat battle each other, it seems the only advantage Snapchat has is their very, very impressive filters. I mean, maybe you want to let everyone know you're a premium thought. There's a filter for that. Perhaps you want to know how you would look if you were confident in your masculinity and didn't look like you were still in the closet. There's a filter for that. Or maybe you want to look like you're back in the closet. There's a filter for that too. Recently, Snapchat introduced a new filter that allows the user to change their gender to look like the opposite sex. This quickly went viral, and of course, since everyone seemed to be enjoying it, smug liberals had to come and find a problem with it. A new article from the, dare I say, news publication Mashable says, Snapchat's gender swap filter exposes the internet's casual transphobia. That's right, everyone. Years of progress for the LGBT community, laws and stipulations set in place to protect trans people, all flushed down the toilet and forgotten, thanks to Snapchat's new, devious filter. All it took to wipe away the transgender progress was a single Snapchat filter. You know what? I'm voting for Trump this upcoming election. The filter is fairly simple. It swaps your features for traditionally feminine or masculine ones. When it rolled out last week, the internet had a field day, with users fantasizing about what it would be like to swap genders. But it wasn't all fun and games for the trans community, who had to witness both their cis friends and strangers suddenly turning the act of switching genders into the latest viral joke. So here we see this failing news publication attempting to get offended on other people's behalf. If you're such a loser, such a shallow ninny, that you feel it's now your obligation to be offended for the sake of other people, I don't know, just have a kid, get a cat, do something to give your seemingly meaningless life some damn purpose. While you're having fun posting about your imaginary chiseled jawline or flawless face of makeup, you might want to consider how this filter perpetuates some pretty whack stereotypes before you post your selfie. After all, casual transphobia looks good on no one. Are we really labeling those who use this goofy viral filter as transphobic? Transphobia is a very real and scary thing, but this is not transphobia. A little while ago, I read a tragic story about a transgender woman who was brutally killed. This is sick and disgusting, and this kind of hatred has no place in America. This right here is transphobia, not some goofy Snapchat filter that gave me menstrual cramps. Snapchat's filter problematically defines gender and presentation. A youth programs manager at GLSEN told Mashable that while intended as a fun joke, Snapchat is assuming gender is a binary between men and women, and more specifically, physical characteristics of how men and women should present themselves. First of all, there's a lot of scientific evidence to support the notion that gender is in fact a binary, and even medical professionals who are trained to accommodate transgender people usually usually begin the diagnosis from the position of gender being a binary. Regardless, we can humor this argument. I'm sure this woman is trying to come from a place of care and compassion. She's just doing it all wrong. First of all, you're drawing problematic tones from an otherwise harmless app. Secondly, how stupid do you assume people are if you think they're going to base how men and women should present themselves on a Snapchat filter? Like what? The world is finally coming around to the idea that men and women don't have to present a certain way, and then suddenly, Snapchat told me women should have smooth skin and hairless bodies. If you don't look like this, you're not a real woman! Unfortunately, this self-expression forgets the wide spectrum of selves people can express. By creating a filter meant to represent an entire gender, you must choose to buy into certain narratives of what it means to look a certain gender. What features are the most beautiful? What are the right features? This assumes that everything else is deviant to the norm or unnatural. I'm sorry, but how much credit are you giving these Snapchat filters? I mean, in the beginning of this article, you admit that Snapchat is a dying app, yet now you're acting like it's some kind of powerhouse that can erase our progressive safe space? I guess if a dog doesn't have brown fur, floppy ears, and a tongue that licks you every second, it's not a real dog. Have fun being put down at the pound, Sparky. On the whole, seeing cis people swap their gender for funsies gives off vibes of the old man in a dress trope. Society says that it's not right for men to do things like wear makeup or have long hair. The sheer existence of trans women under the patriarchy is wrong. One may argue that the reverse trope, that of women donning shorter haircuts and men's clothing, is less negative for women, since it can be empowering for women to co-opt masculinity. That is, until it isn't. I understand that transgender people deal with a lot of difficulties and hardships, but a Snapchat filter is simply not one of them. Not everything is about the LGBT community. Not everything is some kind of coordinated attack. Even more so, you're drawing conclusions from extremely unrealistic views of our society. As progressive politics have taken center stage, it's increasingly acceptable for men to wear makeup. Anyone here ever heard of James Charles? Secondly, we don't live under the patriarchy anymore. According to Pew Research, the majority of Americans see men and women as equally capable of leadership positions, and women are gaining in key leadership positions, from CEOs to state legislatures. So why don't you look outside your victim mentality thought bubble and realize it's the current year. Your instant transition is another person's dysphoria. These gender swap posts has meant that the internet has become even more of a casual transphobia landmine than usual, and the excuses fall flat. It's just harmless fun. Let people enjoy things. It might even be empowering. But it's hard to join in when the fun involves constantly reminding you of your dysphoria and the daily struggle of transitioning. It's funny because this article has not provided a single trans person who's actually offended by this filter. I'd be willing to bet that most transgender people honestly don't care and maybe even feel slightly demeaned that some corporate giant is getting offended on their behalf. Secondly, you say it's not fun for everyone. So should no one be allowed to use this filter? Seems like a pretty dangerous line to cross to claim that my freedoms end where a trans person's feelings begin. It's almost never just a joke. Furriya described casual transphobic humor in online spaces or in everyday culture as a snowball effect that could lead to harm for the trans community. Letting these jokes slide allows cis people to become more comfortable with the dehumanization of trans identities. Wait, hold up. You're telling me that this, hey guys, call me Hunterina, is on the same level as dehumanizing transgender people? Have you completely lost your rainbow minds? As I already said, yes, sometimes transgender people face discrimination. This is terrible, but a Snapchat filter is not dehumanizing anyone. By that logic, the dog filter dehumanizes people, because it actually says that they're animals and not people. This is such ridiculous histrionics, I'm almost surprised this isn't satire. I want to make it very clear, there's absolutely nothing wrong with caring about transgender people. You should care about transgender people. I care about transgender people. But whining about a Snapchat filter completely misses the mark and distracts from the real issues at hand. And honestly, it's just sad. It would be easy for fans of the filter to chalk up these criticisms as a few oversensitive opinions to a feature that can be turned on and off in seconds. The novelty will probably wear off by next week. The latest filter is probably already in the works. Wow, so the only reasonable thing I've read from this article is the predicted response from the fans of this filter. It's true though, these are some pretty oversensitive opinions. I mean, don't you have a cat to groom or some weed to smoke or a dildo to suck? I don't know. Something worthwhile to do instead of whining about a Snapchat filter that, yes, can be turned on or off in seconds. I mean, if this single Snapchat filter is so detrimental for transgender people as you're claiming, why don't they just do... The problem has vanished. Just like the brain cells of the author of this article. Well, there you have it, folks. Snapchat, the once great app of 2012, is now nothing more than a gender-swapping filter triggering liberals. Please give this video a like, comment below, and subscribe to my channel. Thanks everyone for watching. Peace.